So this upcoming Off-White Nike collaboration just got a little bit weirder. Oh, and apparently Kanye is also coming out with some color-changing Yeezys. Needless to say, 2021 is going to be a crazy year for sneakers, crazier than it's already been. What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler, and this is Weekly Heat. Before we dive into the video, I want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Stash. Stash is a personal finance app that is currently being used by over 5 million people, and you can start using it for as little as $1 a month. Stash believes that investing should be accessible to everyday people, not just investing professionals. Stash wants to make it as simple and as easy as possible for you to start investing. Stash even lets you invest $5 or less into stocks like Tesla, Apple, Amazon, and more, but may have never been able to invest in before. Right now on StashChallenge.com, Stash is holding a challenge to invest $5 a week for the rest of the year. The best part is, if you sign up, they'll give you $5 of stock. Make sure to check out the Stash Challenge by clicking the link in the top of the description to get $5 of stock to start investing. Once again, huge thank you to Stash for sponsoring today's video. Now let's jump back into it. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you guys would like to stay up to date on all the latest sneaker news, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell down below if you haven't yet, and also make sure to give me a follow on Instagram and on Twitter at @RealSethFowler. So I know it's been over a week since my last Weekly Heat video, but the reason for that was there just wasn't a lot of news last week. But it seems like from the beginning of this week until now, there is so much news, it's crazy. I mean, we've got crazy Off-White restocks, we've got Jordans that I was really looking forward to getting pushed back indefinitely, we've got brand new Yeezys, there's always new Yeezys, and also, of course, that crazy Off-White Dunk information, which I still kind of can't believe. But continuing on, it looks like we finally got some information on the upcoming Nike Vapormax 2021. So this is weird for me to say, but the Nike Vapormax 2021 is a shoe that I've been very heavily anticipating. And the reason I say that is because, in my opinion, the Vapormax 20 is like the best Vapormax they've ever made. It refined and fixed all the problems I had with the originals. However, even though it was a great shoe, it still had problems of its own. And I was just hoping that the next Vapormax, now the Nike Vapormax 2021, would not only maintain some of the parts of the shoe that I liked about the 2020s, but also fix the problems that I had with that shoe. And the great news is, it looks like they did exactly that. So the Vapormax 2021 looks like it maintains that brand new Vapormax midsole, which was like the highlight of the 2020s, and it also does away with that pull lacing system, which is the one thing I didn't like about the 2020s. It looks like the 2021s are keeping it simple and going back to standard laces, which is funny because you think that this sort of pull lacing system is more futuristic and a little bit easier to use, but at the end of the day, there's a reason laces have been used for centuries, because they work. So for me, the Vapormax 2021 is definitely a very highly anticipated release, and from what I can tell, it's coming out in a bunch of different colorways, but unfortunately, as of right now, we don't have any release information as far as dates. Now, I've never tried on the shoe, and I don't know exactly how it's going to feel on foot, but I'm assuming because of the fact that they didn't change the part that you have underneath your foot, it's gonna feel pretty similar, and in my opinion, this is just how the Vapormax should have been from the start. Obviously, I'm very excited about the Vapormax 2021, and as soon as I can grab a pair, I'll bring you guys a full review. Following that up, we've got some Yeezy news, because of course we do, it wouldn't be a Weekly Heat without it, and it looks like we finally have a release date for the upcoming Adidas Yeezy 700 V1 in the bright blue colorway. So this colorway kind of feels like it's in the same vein as the 700 V1 Suns, where they take sort of the original Wave Runner colorway and just kind of amplify some of the colors on the shoe. What I mean is that they keep some of the paneling of this shoe the same color as the original Wave Runners, but they make the midsole and the upper one bright shade of color. And in the case of this colorway, the bright blue colorway, the midsole and outsole comes in a bright orange, and the upper comes in a, you guessed it, bright blue. So I said this about the Sun colorway, and I think I'm gonna say it again about the bright blue colorway. I've been asking for years for Adidas and Yeezy to sort of give us bright colored shoes, and while yes, they are doing that, I just wish they had done it differently. I know, I'm asking a lot, and a majority of what Kanye and Adidas put out, I love. I love the foam runners, I love the 450s, both very polarizing shoes, much more polarizing than this shoe, but this shoe just, it doesn't feel right. But at the same time, my opinion doesn't really matter. What matters is if you like the shoe and it's something that you actually want to wear. I am very excited that there are colorful Yeezys dropping now, which is a good thing, but this is not a shoe that I feel like I need to pick up and is one that I'm probably going to pass on. That said, this is still probably going to be a limited release, and I know a lot of people are into it, so for that reason, if you want a pair of these, you're gonna need to stay on top of release information because this shoe won't be that easy to get. But the good news is we finally have a release date, and that release date is April 17th. After that, we've got some information on a pair of shoes that I have been heavily anticipating for weeks at this point, and that's the A Ma Maniére Air Jordan 3 Raised by Women, and unfortunately also the fact that it's been postponed. Unfortunately, this news is not good news, especially if you've been looking forward to the shoe as much as I have, and the news is that the release date has been postponed indefinitely. This shoe was originally supposed to release on March 30th and comes in an incredible white, gray, and light maroon colorway. I'm obsessed with it. Man, and not only that, the materials that they're using on this shoe are just, they're perfect. It's like beautiful hairy suede. It's like stitched satin sock liners. It's an amazing shoe. It's incredible. I really can't get over it. You know what? To be fair, A Ma Maniére always puts out really excellent collaborations. I think I might have said this in the last Weekly Heat video or the last Sit or Sell, but every collab that they've dropped has been on point. According to A Ma Maniére, the reason this release was pushed back was because of the supply chain and supply issues. So I'm assuming there was maybe a shipping problem, or maybe some of the materials couldn't get in and it couldn't get manufactured on time. Maybe it has something to do with China and shipping it over from China. I have no idea why. They aren't being that open about why, which makes sense. They don't need to be, but unfortunately it means that we're not going to be getting this shoe for the foreseeable future. I am still heavily anticipating this shoe though, and I will definitely be trying to pick up a pair, if not for retail, possibly for resale if it's not too crazy. Next up, it looks like the retro or re-release of the Fragment Nike Dunk Highs, specifically in the Beijing colorway, won't be coming back in the same form that they did originally. So when these shoes first released, the pairs were mismatched so that the colors were different on either shoe. But it looks like on this 2021 release, specifically on this Beijing colorway, because this is the only one we have pictures of, that they're getting rid of that completely and they're just dropping the shoe as like a purple and black look. Now to be fair, it's still a great looking sneaker, and dunk heads and sneakerheads alike will be fiending after this shoe, probably mainly because it's a Fragment collaboration, but it's also a great looking shoe nonetheless, even without the mismatched look. I'm not 100% sure why Nike and Fragment decided to do this. I wouldn't be surprised if it's to differentiate this new pair from the old pair, which would make sense, but it could be any reason. As far as the look of these Fragment Nike Dunk High Beijings, they come in sort of a dark purple colorway on the upper, accented by sort of black overlays, a white Fragment logo, and also Fragment text on the midsole. Like I said, as of right now, we only have pictures of the Beijing colorway. However, there are also two other colorways in the pack, and I would assume, even though we haven't seen them yet, that they will also drop the mismatched look and come in just a standard colorway. Regardless, we still don't have release information or release dates on any of these shoes, but expect them to drop before the end of the year. Following that up, we've got some awesome on-foot pics of the upcoming Nike SB Dunk Low What the P-Rods, courtesy of Yankee Kicks. Paul Rodriguez has obviously been a big part of Nike SB, and it looks like they're giving him a brand new sneaker colorway with this really cool What the look. Obviously, as you can see, the shoe features a very mismatched upper, and in my opinion, it rivals the classic Nike SB What Does. Oh man, I know I'm gonna get some flack for that, but I understand that there's a difference. I understand that there's a lot of history in one, and this one is more of like his own personal history. I get that, but the look of this shoe is pretty fire. The What the P-Rods feature a ton of different colors and a ton of different patterns. You've got a Mexican blanket on the toe. You've got this really cool like suede with like black leather sort of coming up on the toe. It's an interesting look, and I'm really into it. Of course, you've also got classic paneling like elephant print and leather and suede and things like that. It's an all-around very interesting and very exciting looking shoe. I mean, even the midsole and outsole of these shoes are different on either shoe. One shoe has the Mexican flag, one comes with like a brown and red midsole. It's a sick look. But as with a lot of shoes in Weekly Heat, we don't have a release date yet, but expect the shoe to drop sometime in the fall. It's also probably going to be very difficult to get. Next up, we've got images of the upcoming Air Jordan 1 Electro Orange, courtesy of FXXK Vlog VI. The Air Jordan 1 Electro Orange, or as I like to call it, the almost shattered backboards but not as good, comes in a white, black, and orange makeup. The shoe features a primarily white tumbled leather upper, which actually looks pretty good, accented by black overlays around the mudguard and around the eye stays, as well as what seems to be metallic orange hits around the ankle and an orange outsole. Now I'm gonna be honest, when I first saw renderings of what the shoe would actually look like, not like the original renderings where we thought it was gonna be a shattered backboard, but the renderings that showed how the shoe actually ended up looking, I thought it looked terrible. I really didn't like it. And to be honest, it's still not something I'm gonna buy. But I will say that it does look better than it did in the renderings. Nothing against the people who rendered it. I think it was Z Sneakerhead Z. His renderings are usually on point. It just looks better in real life. And people are always getting on me in my Yeezy reviews, how I always complain about the Yeezys all looking the same, and they're like, well, you buy Air Jordan 1s and they all look the same. I think Jordan Brand is realizing that that's the case, and they're starting to drop colorways that they're trying to make as different as possible. and they just don't look as clean as standard Air Jordan colorways because they're not. They don't have that OG vibe. They don't have that solid color blocking. They just kind of look like they're trying too hard at this point. And it honestly kind of sucks. I mean, I know we can't have like a Royal every year. I know we can't have a shattered backboard every year, but it would be nice to have something that was a little bit better than this. That said, this definitely isn't a bad looking shoe, and it's still a clean Air Jordan 1, and because of that, people are still going to be hyped on it. I know there was a lot of hate for this shoe in the beginning, but I think that's sort of turning into people kind of getting more excited about it because they're seeing it in real life. And if you are one of those people that's looking to pick up a pair of these for yourself, you don't actually have that much longer to wait because the tentative release date for this shoe is July 17th. I mean, I guess if you guys want to see a review, I'll pick up a pair early if I can and try and give you guys that review. The reason I'm just kind of hesitant about it is because I know if I get it in hand, I'm going to want to keep it, and I just don't need any more pairs of Jordan 1s. I just don't. Next up, we've got some leaked information about what seems to be one of the wildest 350s to date, the Adidas Yeezy 350 V2 Lite. So the reason this shoe is so interesting is because even though it just looks like a standard all-white Adidas Yeezy, which to be fair we haven't had in a while, so that would actually be nice to just get a white Yeezy, but apparently some of the prime knit on the upper and the netting on the side of the shoe on the side stripe is UV sensitive, so it actually changes color based on whether you're outside or whether you're inside. Now we actually just did this with a pair of Apothecary socks on, funnily enough, a white pair of socks that changed to pink, like this pair is seemingly changing from white to pink. Obviously they didn't copy us because I'm sure this pair has been in development for like a year at this point, but it's cool to see them doing the same sort of thing, and I think if you have a pair of those UV sensitive Apothecary socks, they're gonna look sick with this shoe. However, I wouldn't be surprised if the UV on our socks is cooler than the UV on the shoe. I don't know how well the UV color changing is gonna work on this pair, but based on how, in my opinion, poor the glow was on the Yeezy 350 glows, I don't have high hopes. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the shoe just looks white when you're inside and then when you walk outside it looks like it got a little bit dirty. That's sort of how I'm thinking it's gonna look, especially based on these renders. I do think it's a really cool concept, and I'm very excited for these shoes to drop, and I will definitely be picking up a pair as early as possible to give you guys a full review. And I'll also probably be wearing those UV socks in the review, because again, they look sick. It really seems like Kanye and Adidas are stepping things up with Yeezys this year. We got the 450s, we've got all these crazy colorways of foam runners, we've got UV pairs of 350s, we've got the mono pack, which really changes things up. I'm excited for Yeezy this year. I can't wait. As of right now, the tentative release date for the Adidas Yeezy 350 V2 Lite is August 21st, but don't be surprised if that release date changes as we get closer to August. And then finally, wrapping up the video for today with the final story, it looks like the off-white Nike, the 20 collection that we originally thought was gonna happen in the middle of this year, is not actually gonna happen, and instead we're getting the off-white, the 50. Now when I first heard this news, I was stoked, because I was like, you know what, we're getting 50 different silhouettes. I can't wait. I can't wait to get those Canary Air Jordan 1s and those off-white Air Forces, but turns out none of those shoes are going to be part of this collection. In fact, the collection's only going to feature one kind of silhouette, and that's the off-white Nike Dunk Low. And frustratingly, even worse than that, there's literally only going to be 50 pairs. When they said off-white Nike the 50, they didn't mean 50 different silhouettes or 50 different colorways, which, yeah, okay, it is kind of 50 different colorways, but they meant 50 pairs. Maybe I misunderstood that. I hope that I misunderstood that, but based on all the news outlets that I've read, like House of Heat and Sneaker News, that really seems like that's the case, which is unbelievably disappointing to say the least. This is going to be one of the most hyped up and most limited collections Off-White and Nike have ever released, and because of that, these dunks are going to be stupid expensive. Oh yeah, and the way that they're doing these colorways is just even weirder. So the first 49 pairs are all white and gray Nike Off-White dunks that feature slightly different color laces and slightly different color accents. Apparently they all look very similar, but each one has a slightly different color on it somewhere. But then the final pair, the 50th pair, comes in all black, and it's numbered 50 of 50. And that pair is going to be the one pair that's going to go for thousands and thousands, probably hundreds of thousands, you know, in a while, who knows, but that pair is going to be stupid hard to get. Well, I mean, based on the way that it's looking, it looks like there's only one pair, so very difficult to get. You might have to be Virgil Abloh to get a pair of those. Who knows? Now, I guess it is possible that they might release a full size run of each of these colorways, and it's not just one pair for each number, but I don't know. This story is just so weird. I just don't know what to believe. The good news is, though, it looks like we're still getting the Off-White Air Jordan 1 Canaries and probably the Off-White Air Jordan 4 Breads because they weren't part of the 10 or the 20 or the 50 or whatever the hell it is now. They're just kind of their own separate release, so that's probably still on track, but if you were hoping to get a piece of the Off-White the 50 or the Off-White the 20, you're probably not going to be able to. This is just such a weird story, and there's so little information out there right now. I'll make sure to keep you guys updated if anything new comes out, but don't get your hopes up for these shoes. You're probably not going to get a pair. It is what it is. And to be fair, they don't even look that exciting. I'm gonna put that out there too. So don't even feel bad for not getting a pair, because they're just white and gray dunks, and you could cut your own holes in Nike dunks and make them look like they have different laces if you wanted to. It's not that difficult. Getting sneakers has just gotten so much harder, like almost to a point where it's not even fun anymore. That's so depressing to end the video on that note, but like, let's be honest, 2021 has been really rough if you're trying to buy sneakers for retail. It is what it is. Maybe I should do a whole weekly heat on that, actually. But on that awful bombshell, it's time to end. That was a nice little Grand Tour reference if you guys caught that. But I would love to know your thoughts on all of the sneaker stories that we talked about in today's video, so make sure to leave those comments in the comment section down below. Once again, huge thank you to Stash for sponsoring today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.